this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a card using the beautiful new Dragonfly dies. I'm sorry, I'm not sure of the code of these ones at the moment. But these you've got 4 dies that are open dragonflies that you could ink through, and 4 that have little lines on that you could ink if you want to add detail to. But they had a beautiful sort of embossed detail onto a card. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the fusion inks to make ourselves a beautiful background on this. So I've just got a piece of white card here just to protect the surface. I would normally use my media mat. And I've got a little bit of card here cut to 4 by 6 inches. I'm going to use apple and kiwi. So for this whole process, I'm going to use apple, kiwi and sunfruit. And the fusion inks are amazing. These are the gold ones. These have that beautiful gold shine in there. So I want to use this heavily. So I'm using the daubers and I'm putting sort of random places using the apple quite heavy on. So you'll see the ink looks a little bit wet. Some of that is dry, some of it is wet because I'm putting it on heavily, but the sheen is mainly coming from the gold. So I'm then adding kiwi in the sort of blank spaces, but because I've put it on heavily, it's picking up some of the apple as well. So we get a beautiful sort of almost swirly, like a sort of sea or air background. So I'm just going to take the dauber that I used for the apple and just blend it across so that we've got that beautiful background. Now, what I want to do next is to add some water to these, as these are water reactive. So I'm going to take a large fan brush, and the larger the fan brush, the larger the blobs you get, and I want a lot of blobs here. So I'm laying down some water, picking it up with my fan brush, and then just flicking the fan brush over, and I'm adding quite a lot of water. I want big droplets, and I want them to start to pool. And if you're watching, as you see this, you'll see it's picking up the ink, it's all swirling. Now, we don't want to buff this off. You don't want to put kitchen roll on or any cloth or anything to take it off. That's what you'll actually end up with. You'll end up with a beautiful background, but you won't get what we're wanting. You'll take a lot of that sort of excess away. We want that to dry. So we pop that over to one side to dry. And once it's dry, we get this beautiful look, which almost looks like water or air. It's got that beautiful colour on it. And as you can see, where it's dried, it's bleached out the colour. And it just gives so much depth and texture, and we get that beautiful gold shimmer coming from the ink just on the white card. So as you can see this, as I've left this to dry, you can start to see almost weeds in water starting to form on it. So it will only take about 5 minutes to dry, if that. But obviously here's one that I've already got that I have already dried. And what I've done next is I've cut a set of the dragonflies. So I've just cut all 8 of the dragonflies there, and I've cut them nicely across a piece of white card. So you can see there, if we just put those together, you can use the waste to make the most beautiful sort of simple card. So we're not going to waste this, but this is now going to be a stencil. So I've decided to use this left hand section here, and this is where I'm going to add the sunfruit. And the sunfruit in the fusion inks has a copper finish to it. So this will add a different sheen on there. So I'm just going to go through quite heavily, and you almost feel as if you're not really achieving anything because you're using a light colour on dark, but it will work. And you see there, you get the beautiful copper tracery of those dragonflies through. If you want them heavier, you need to take more of the ink and you just sort of pounce through, but I want almost a shadow of the copper showing. So I'm taking it off the page. I'm going to pop one more there, just coming off the page a little bit. And you see there that we're getting that beautiful dragonfly shine. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my individual dragonflies, and I want to add a little bit of colour onto these, not too much. So what I'm going to do is just press down with my dauber onto them. This is the best way to get just a little touch of colour. So I'm going on there with the green, with the sunfruit, with the apple, and depending on how much you've got, left on there, can you see we get that beautiful, a little bit more on there, get that beautiful, almost translucent dragonfly look to those. And again, we get that beautiful sheen. So all I'm going to do now is to glue these on. So I'm going to use a Craft Artist glue glaze. And I'm just going to fold the wings forward and just glue on the body. And we're kind of putting these, again, down this left-hand side, random directions. And it's trying to sort of make it all blend in. And the idea is that when the person who receives this card or project to make a beautiful mixed media piece, they're seeing different levels, different shades, different colours coming through. Again, all depending on how the light is catching it. This is a beautiful way to use just the Dragonfly's dies to make you the most beautiful sort of card or background or piece. So I'm going around just adding these on. Again, using the glue glaze means that they glue on relatively quickly. And there we go, just pop our last one on, going that direction. So we're building up almost texture and sheen in there, with those dragonflies working so well. So next I've got a card blank here I've just cut to 5 by 7, and I've matted this with sort of 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 to fit our 6 by 4 piece. And then I've matted it with a little bit of teal Craft Artist card as well, so that we've got that beautiful sort of just that pulling one of the colours out from it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of foam tape on this. So we've got, again, keeping that depth and dimension. So I'm using 2mm foam tape, which is the sort of the favourite of mine. It means you get that depth, you get that shadow, but it's not too deep to post or to gift to someone. You don't actually have to start to make really deep boxes for things to fit. So there we go. So I'm just going to take off now all of that foam tape. And simply. And we're going to mount that on so we get a really nice little border. And then I'm going to use my pokey tool just in the middle. I'm just going to flick and fold all the wings up. So obviously these will get depressed and pressed a little bit. So again, if you did want to sort of send this, you will still see it. You don't need to sort of flick those wings up, but it just adds that little bit of extra depth in. And because we only glued them in the centre, they will all 3D beautifully. And hopefully you can see there we've got that gorgeous depth of colour, but we've also got that beautiful sort of sun fruit where we've used the die cut piece waste as a stencil. And all I'm going to do to finish this off is I'm going to use some of the Craft Artist Pearl Dimension, which is a beautiful white sort of pearl liquid. And this again is something that you can use. I mean, there are lots of different companies do it. So to start with, I'm going to put a little dot into each of the dragonflies, and then I'm just going to touch the bottle all around where those dragonflies are flying, completely random, to keep all of that interest there and keep that sort of random look all across that left hand side. There we go. And that way we've got that mixture of the gold, the copper, the sunfruit and the dragonflies. And again, you could add just a little sentiment on there, but I love that as a finished piece as it stands. For more hints, tips, ideas and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John next door and Crafts2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.